Avoid these 9 stupidities. Have you ever wondered why you never improve despite trying very hard? There are seemingly small mistakes that silently erode your wealth, opportunities, and even your happiness. These are the stupidities that many people inadvertently fall into, causing them to remain trapped in a cycle of poverty without even realizing it. In life, everyone hopes for stable finances, a solid career, and good relationships, but sometimes, it is the wrong decisions that push us into situations of losing money, losing friends, and even losing faith in ourselves. Only when you recognize the problem and change in time can you escape that negative spiral. So, are you making these stupidities? Think about it. Have you ever lent money to a gambler and then never got it back? Have you ever hired an acquaintance to do a job, thinking it would be cheap and convenient, but ended up with disappointment? Have you ever pooled resources for a business without clarity, only to turn friends into enemies? Or have you ever sold land to deposit money in the bank, only to realize years later that you lost a significant asset? Some mistakes not only cause you to lose money but also take away opportunities for success and peace in life. The hard lessons from reality show that working for an unethical boss can lead to exploitation, even getting you into legal trouble. Marrying without love only brings a series of unhappy and deadlocked days. Giving money to someone else to buy land without being on the title is like throwing away your own asset. Living without a stance makes you a puppet in someone else's hands. And living too frugally, not daring to enjoy life, leads to realizing that you have lost your youth. Don't let these mistakes ruin your life. Knowing early allows for change. Knowing late may lead to lifelong regret. Lending money to a gambler, you think you are helping them. But in reality, you are pushing yourself into debt and trouble. Gamblers never stop. They just need more money to recover. Help the right way. Don't help with money. Hiring an acquaintance for work, thinking that hiring an acquaintance will save money and be easy. Mistake. When problems arise, you find it hard to complain and easily lose both money and feelings. Work is work. Choose someone with expertise instead of being polite. Pooling resources for business without transparency. Collaborating with relatives or friends seems easy. But when profits or losses occur, conflicts will explode. No clear contract. Easy to lose both money and relationships. Selling land to deposit money in the bank. Land is an asset that appreciates over time. Meanwhile, bank deposits do not keep up with inflation. Don't sell a large asset just for a small interest. Working for an unethical person, a bad boss not only exploits you but also drags you into unethical practices, even violating the law. Don't let money cloud your conscience. Marrying without love. A marriage without love is like a contract that confines your life. Don't marry just because of social pressure, otherwise, you will live a life of suffering. Giving money to someone else to buy land without being on the title. Human greed is very unpredictable. Without clear legal documents, when the land appreciates, you could lose everything. Living without a stance, without a viewpoint, you will be led by others and never be in control of your own life. Make your own decisions. Don't let anyone live for you. Living too frugally, saving is good, but too much leads to a life of suffering. Money is to serve life, not for you to live like a slave. Welcome to Think Deep, where profound ideas are sparked and explored. Have you ever wondered why the world around you is the way it is? Today, we'll unravel secrets, discover new perspectives, and take you on an exciting intellectual journey. Don't miss a single moment, because every video on Think Deep is an opportunity to broaden your mind and challenge familiar thoughts. Hit like and subscribe so you never miss out. Let's get started right now. 1. Loaning money to gamblers, money lost, love gone. In life, kindness is always a noble virtue. We are often willing to help those around us when they face difficulties. But not all help brings good results. And lending money to gamblers is one of the biggest mistakes many people make. Why is this dangerous? Let's analyze the psychology of gamblers. Always believing in luck. People who fall into gambling often do not see it as a game of chance. but believe that they can win back the money they have lost. This blind faith makes them never stop. Even when they lose everything, they always think that just one more round will win. But in reality, the more they play, the deeper they sink. They do not view money as a result of hard work, but merely as a tool to continue gambling with luck. When they run out of money, they start begging family, friends, promising to pay back when they win big. In fact, most gamblers never win in the long run, as this game is designed to enrich the house, not the players. Why is lending money to gamblers a wrong decision? They will not stop. Do you think lending them money once is helping them out of trouble? Big mistake. Once they have money in hand, they will continue to play. And next time they will come back to borrow more with a larger amount. Money lost. Love also lost. When they need to borrow, they promise sweetly, but when they lose everything, they may evade, break promises, or even turn against you. You will find yourself in a situation of debt collection, but only receive avoidance, lies, or even blame. You are nurturing their bad habits. The easier it is to borrow money, the less they fear the consequences. If no one lends them money, they might have to stop. But if you help, they will continue to fall deeper without a stopping point. The risk of losing more than money. Not a few gamblers borrow money and do not pay it back, but then turn around to blame, even turning against those who help them. Some cases even lead to conflicts, lawsuits, seriously affecting the honor, finances, and psychology of the lender. The consequences of gambling for individuals and families. Gambling is not just a game of chance, but also an addiction that can destroy a person and their family. For the gambler themselves, financial depletion. The more they lose, the more they play, the more they owe. Unstable psychology, always living under pressure, fearing debts, being pursued by loan sharks. Moral degradation, starting to lie, deceive, and even steal to have money to continue playing. For the family, conflict, breakdown, loved ones lose trust, spouses divorce, children are psychologically affected, loss of assets, houses, land may be sold to pay debts. Heavy pressure, the family always has to live in anxiety, fearing being found by creditors. How to help a gambler correctly? Instead of lending them money, help them in a more effective way. Advise them to seek help from professionals. Gambling is an addiction that requires support from psychological experts or gambling rehabilitation centers to help them escape. Set clear boundaries. Say no right from the start if they ask to borrow money. Do not help them sink deeper out of compassion. Help them realize the consequences. Tell real stories about people who have lost everything because of gambling. Sharing lessons on finance. Sharing lessons about finance helps them understand the value of money. Calling for family intervention. If the gambler is a relative of yours, let the family intervene to prevent them from continuing to fall into depravity. Remember, you cannot save someone who does not want to save themselves. Do not let blind compassion turn you into a second victim of gambling. Stay alert. Learn how to help properly, instead of enabling their bad habits. 2. Hiring acquaintances for work. A favor turns out to be harmful. In life, everyone wants to help acquaintances, friends, or relatives when there is an opportunity. Therefore, many people, when needing to renovate their homes, design interiors, create websites, or run small businesses, often choose to hire acquaintances instead of seeking outside professionals. The reasons: because of trust, because they want to save costs, because they think working with acquaintances will be easier to communicate. But what is the reality? Most of these cases end in disappointment, frustration, and even loss of both money and feelings. Let's analyze why hiring acquaintances for work is one of the most common mistakes and how to avoid it. Why do people prefer hiring acquaintances? Before discussing the risks, let's look at the common reasons that lead many people to make this mistake. Feeling more secure due to trust. Acquaintances surely won't deceive me. Easy to talk to, easy to ask for favors. Not afraid of being ghosted on the job. Thinking the price will be cheaper. Family will do it cheaper for me. No intermediary fees. No need for complicated contracts. Wanting to help acquaintances. They are unemployed. Hiring them is also helping. Better to give money to a relative than to hire a stranger. Easier communication. More flexibility. If there are any mistakes, it's easy to fix. No worries about being pressured on price or being difficult. It sounds reasonable, but the truth is often not as expected. The risks of hiring acquaintances for work. Because they are acquaintances, they tend to work in a whatever works style, not truly professionally. When hiring outsiders, you can demand high standards because there is a clear contract. But with acquaintances, you will hesitate to insist, fearing to offend them. Acquaintances working lack discipline, with no clear deadlines. When you remind them, they say, "Slow down. Let me take care of it. No worries." In many cases, work drags on for months, putting you in a difficult situation. If you hire someone outside, you can request corrections if they make mistakes. But with acquaintances, you hesitate to be strict, fearing they might take offense. If you give too much feedback, they might become upset, feeling they are being made to work hard. Initially, it seems cheap, but in the end, the costs can add up because they do not take full responsibility. If the results do not meet expectations, you have to hire someone else to fix it, costing you double the money. If work encounters obstacles, arguments and conflicts can easily arise. Some people might even turn against you, blaming, "I helped you," and you still nitpick. In the end, money lost, feelings lost, work still not done. Real stories. One person hired their cousin for interior design because they wanted to help him find work. At first, everything seemed fine, but then the work was extremely delayed. When reminded, my cousin said, "Take your time. It's for family. What's the rush?" After 6 months, the project was still not finished. In the end, this person had to hire another worker to redo everything. It cost double the money, and he was also angry with my cousin for being impatient. Story 2. Making a website, cheap becomes expensive. A shop owner hired a close friend to create an online sales website at a friendly price. After receiving the deposit, this friend worked very slowly, made many mistakes, and each time a fix was needed, it took a whole week to wait. In the end, the website was unusable, and they had to hire a professional company to redo it from scratch. It cost more money, and they also lost the friendship. How to hire acquaintances without encountering pitfalls. If you must hire acquaintances, follow these principles. Even if they are family or friends, there must be a contract that clearly defines the work, time, costs, and warranty conditions. No contract, no work. If the work does not meet the requirements, demand corrections as agreed. Don't hesitate to give feedback, as money matters must be clear. If the acquaintance does not perform well, be ready to replace them with someone else. Don't place all your trust in one person just because they are family. Instead of hiring them for important work, you can refer other customers to them, or support them in other ways. It's not necessary to assign work to them. Hiring acquaintances can stem from good intentions, but if you're not careful, you will lose both money and relationships. In work, professionalism is more important than feelings. If you want the job done as expected, choose capable people instead of relying solely on familiarity. 3. Joint capital without transparency. The quickest way to lose money and friends. Pooling capital for business with friends and relatives is very common. At the beginning, everyone is full of enthusiasm, promising to get rich together, sharing joys and sorrows. But reality shows that many people lose both money and relationships for a simple reason: lack of transparency. So, why is unclear joint capital a big mistake? How to avoid it? Let's analyze. Feeling safer when there is someone else to share responsibility. Friends for years. Surely they wouldn't do something bad for money. One person is good with finances. Another is good at business. Another has connections. The feeling of going further together is very enticing. But the reality is not that simple. When money and profits appear, the true nature of people becomes clear. Financial disputes: who contributes more? Who benefits more? If there are no clear regulations. When there is profit, someone will claim they deserve to benefit more. The person who invests a lot of money wants to quickly recover their capital, while the person who invests less wants to share the profits equally. If the business incurs losses, arguments and blame are unavoidable. Practical example: 3 people invest to open a coffee shop. One person invests the most but participates the least, while the other 2 manage it daily. When the shop becomes profitable, the person who invested the most demands a higher percentage, but the other 2 disagree because they work more. The consequence: disputes, fractures, and ultimately closure. At first, everyone promises to cooperate, but when issues arise, no one takes responsibility. Without documentation, there is no way to file a lawsuit if deceived. Some people even withdraw their capital in the middle of difficulties, leaving their partners to struggle. Practical example: a group of friends pools money to open a clothing shop. Initially, they promise to develop together, but when difficulties arise, one person quietly withdraws their capital, leaving the other 2 to manage. In the end, the store closes, and debts pile up. If only one person manages the finances, it can easily lead to misappropriation and unclear spending. When discovering that money is being used for the wrong purpose, it is too late to salvage the situation. Practical example: a group of friends opens a small company, assigning one person to manage finances. After a year, the company goes bankrupt, and upon reviewing the books, it is discovered that this person has withdrawn money without permission. But without evidence, no one can do anything. If business is good, everyone wants to share more. If business incurs losses, everyone wants to blame someone else. When conflicts arise, friends may turn against each other, even resorting to lawsuits. Practical example: 2 close friends invest to open a restaurant. After a year, the restaurant grows, but one person wants to open another branch, while the other disagrees. Neither is willing to compromise, and they ultimately part ways bitterly. If you still want to collaborate in business, ensure the following: sign a clear contract from the beginning. Clearly define who contributes how much capital and who is responsible for what. Specify the method of profit sharing and how to handle disputes. There must be clear and public financial reports. If possible, hire an external accountant to oversee finances. Do not allow anyone to withdraw capital in the middle of difficulties without a replacement plan. If someone wants to withdraw capital, they must provide advance notice. Who is the manager? Who is the investor? Do not let everyone do everything, as this can lead to conflicts. If the project fails, there should be a plan to handle debts. If the group cannot continue collaborating, there should be a transparent way to divide assets. Investing in business can be an opportunity for growth, but if not transparent, it can become a nightmare. Never let blind trust cause you to lose both money and relationships. 4. Selling land to deposit money in the bank. Mistakes that can cost you your future. Have you ever thought that selling land to deposit in the bank is a safe decision? It sounds reasonable. Having a large sum of money in hand, receiving regular interest every month, not having to worry about anything. But in reality, this is one of the most financially mistaken decisions that many people make. And the consequences can last for decades. Let's explore why selling land to deposit money in the bank is a serious mistake. The real stories that have happened, and how to avoid losing assets in the future. Why do many people sell land to deposit in the bank? Many people think that selling land to get cash and then depositing it in the bank is a safe investment because having cash in hand, easy to use, no need to wait for land prices to rise, can use the money immediately when needed. The mentality of cash in hand is definitely more secure. Receiving regular bank interest. It sounds reasonable. Depositing 1 billion with an interest rate of 6% per year means every year you get 60 million. Every month 5 million, enough to cover daily expenses. Not having to worry about land prices dropping. Not having to incur maintenance costs. Avoiding investment risks. Some people are afraid of the volatile real estate market. Do not want to hold land for long. They think that depositing money in the bank will be safer than holding fixed assets. But in reality, it is not that simple. Why is selling land to deposit in the bank a mistake? Money depreciates, while land appreciates. Land prices always tend to increase over time, especially in potential areas. Meanwhile, money deposited in the bank is always losing value due to inflation. After a few years, the amount of money you have deposited can no longer buy the same piece of land you initially had. Real example. In 2000, a person sold a 500 square meters piece of land for $200 million. Deposited it in the bank to receive monthly interest for spending. By 2023, that piece of land is worth $10 billion. But the amount this person has in the bank is only about $500 million due to gradual spending over the months. Losing an extremely valuable asset just because of a wrong decision. Bank interest does not keep up with inflation. Many people think that monthly interest from the bank is stable, but they forget that the actual value of money is decreasing day by day. If the average inflation is 5% per year, while the bank interest is only 6% per year, then in reality, your money only increases by 1% each year. But if you deduct taxes and other expenses, you almost have no real profit. Real example. You deposit $1 billion in the bank with an interest rate of 6% per year, receiving $60 million each year. But if the cost of living increases by 7 to 8% per year, then in reality, that interest is not enough to compensate for the rising living standards. When you need a large amount of money, you have nothing in hand. When depositing money in the bank, you can only withdraw in parts. And when it runs out, you have nothing left to secure your financial future. Meanwhile, if you keep the land, you can sell or rent it to earn income. Real example. A person sells land for $2 billion to deposit in the bank, thinking they can live off the interest. But after 10 years, the money runs out, while the initial piece of land has increased in value to $15 billion. If they had kept the land, they could sell it for a large sum or rent it for stable income. Real stories. 1 mistake. Regret for a lifetime. Story 1. Selling land to pay for children's education. A person sells a piece of land worth $1 billion to have money to support their children's education. After 5 years, the money is completely spent, while land prices have increased to $5 billion. In the end, when they need money for retirement, they have no assets left. Story 2. Thinking that depositing in the bank is safer. A family selling 3,000 square meters of land in the countryside for $3 billion. Depositing in the bank to earn interest. After 10 years, that land is worth $20 billion, while the money in the bank is only $4 billion due to spending. The whole family regrets losing a large asset just because of a wrong decision. So, how to avoid making this mistake? Land is a valuable asset, especially in developing areas. If you don't need money urgently, keep the land instead of selling it. You can rent the land to create monthly income instead of selling it. The rental income can be used to cover living expenses, while the land still retains its value. If you have to sell the land, use the money to invest in other assets that have the potential to appreciate, such as buying land in another area, investing in business, etc. Don't let money sit in the bank without creating value. Don't think that depositing in the bank is safe, because the real value of money will decrease over time. Look for smart investment opportunities instead of just saving. Selling land to deposit money in the bank may bring temporary comfort, but in the long run, you could lose an extremely valuable asset. Think carefully before selling land, and if possible, keep it for the future to avoid regret. 5. Working for an immoral person. The harder you try, the worse you will get. In life, everyone needs to work to earn a living, support their family, and develop their career, but not every job is worth sticking with, and not every boss deserves your dedication. Working for an unethical employer is one of the biggest mistakes many people make. Not only do you waste your effort, but you may also be exploited, taken advantage of, or even get into legal trouble. Let's explore why working with an unethical employer is a wrong decision and how to protect yourself. An unethical employer is not just a bad person, but someone willing to trample on employees for personal gain. They often have the following characteristics: forcing employees to work excessively while paying meager wages, no salary increase policy, no bonuses even when the company grows. When the company faces issues, they blame employees and never admit fault. If there is a legal dispute, they are ready to push employees to bear the consequences. Deliberately evading laws, tax evasion, financial fraud, using employees to carry out illegal activities that they dare not put their name on. Frequently scolding, insulting employees, creating a stressful work environment, disrespecting rights, firing employees without just cause, deceiving customers, selling fake or low-quality products, using employees to cover up mistakes, and when discovered, they shirk responsibility. If your company shows these signs, think again. Consequences of working for an unethical employer. The truth is, working long-term with an unethical employer will cost you dearly. Exhaustion of health and spirit. Working too hard, without time to rest, will gradually damage your health. A stressful work environment, being constantly belittled, leads to stress and depression. A sales employee is forced to work 12 hours a day, but only receives minimum wage. When proposing a raise, the boss yells and threatens to fire them. Being exploited without knowing. An unethical employer will never acknowledge the efforts of their employees. They may force employees to sign illegal documents. And later, when problems arise, you will be the one held responsible. An accountant is pressured by their boss to sign fraudulent tax documents. When the company is audited, the accountant is the first to be investigated, while the boss washes their hands of any involvement. No future for advancement. There are no opportunities for development, as the boss only cares about profits. No matter how hard you try, you will never be recognized. An employee works for 5 years but their salary remains the same as the first day. While the company grows, when demanding benefits, the boss simply says, "If you don't like it, quit." Others are waiting to work. Possible loss of honor and career. If you work too long in a fraudulent company, you may gain a bad reputation. When applying for a new job, no company will want to hire you due to your previous employment at a deceptive company. An employee who once worked for a fraudulent multi-level marketing company. When the company collapses, they are left with a bad reputation, and no one wants to hire them. How to avoid falling into the trap of a bad boss. Research thoroughly before applying for a job. Look up company information on social media. Job review websites. Ask former or current employees about the work environment. If you notice signs of exploitation, find a way to leave. If you are forced to work too hard, not paid correctly, prepare to look for a new job. Don't let yourself be trapped in a job with no future. Do not sign any documents you do not understand. If pressured to sign financial records or contracts, make sure to research thoroughly or consult a lawyer. Never put your name on things you are not responsible for. Document evidence if you are exploited or deceived. Record audio. Take photos. Keep emails if you are forced to work illegally. If necessary, seek a lawyer or labor agency to intervene. Don't trade your honor and future for immediate pay. You can find other jobs. But if you get involved with a bad company, you could lose your entire career. Always prioritize professional ethics, and don't let money blind you. Conclusion: don't let money buy your conscience. Working with an unethical employer not only wastes your efforts but can also ruin your future and honor. Be careful when choosing a workplace, and never accept to work in an environment full of injustice and deceit. 6. Marriage without love. A deep pit of lifetime unhappiness. Marriage without love. A tragic mistake. Marriage is one of the most important decisions in every person's life. It is not only a union between two people but also a bond of emotions, responsibilities, and the future ahead. But what will happen if you marry without love? Many people enter marriage due to family and social pressure, for economic benefits, or simply because they think getting married will lead to love. However, reality shows that a marriage without love often leads to suffering. exhaustion, and regret. Let's explore why this is one of the biggest mistakes and how to avoid falling into this tragedy. Why do many people marry without love? There are many reasons why people enter marriage without truly loving their partner. By the time of marriage, parents continuously urge, get married. Child, once you have a family, everything will be stable. Friends around are all starting families, making you feel lonely and compared. Society always emphasizes marriage as an important milestone in life. Fear of having to live alone. Fear of a future without anyone to care for. Thinking that marrying a husband, wife will help stabilize oneself emotionally and in life. Some people marry for the family background or wealth of the other party, hoping for a materially sufficient life without needing to exert much effort. They think that money can replace love and bring happiness. Some people marry because they think, the other person loves me too much, or, the families have already arranged it. In some cases, they marry because they have been together for a long time and cannot break up for fear of hurting the other person. Love can grow over time. This is the mindset of many people before getting married. But reality shows that it is not always possible to love after marriage. Often, the more they live together, the more distant they become. Initially, these reasons may seem reasonable, but after marriage, the truth gradually becomes clear. What will happen in a marriage without love? Living with someone you have no feelings for is like living in a prison. You will feel trapped, with no joy, and no excitement when coming home. Family meals become a duty, with no connection between the husband and wife. For example, a woman marries because her family forces her, initially thinking, over time, I will get used to it. But after a few years, she feels suffocated and depressed because she has to live with a husband with whom she shares no interests or life views. Without love, even small issues can easily become a cause for arguments. Two people do not understand each other, do not share, leading to disagreements in everything. Without empathy, the husband and wife easily become two strangers living under the same roof. For example, a couple marries through family matchmaking. After 2 years, they constantly argue about finances, household chores, children. In the end, they divorce with regret for not listening to their hearts from the beginning. When there is no love, the husband and wife only stay together out of responsibility for the children or both families. Life becomes a repetitive cycle of going to work, coming home, with no connection. Many people try to endure, but inside they always feel empty. For example, a man marries a woman because his parents arranged it. He tries to maintain the marriage for the children, but after 10 years, he realizes he can no longer endure it and decides to divorce. The high risk of infidelity. When there is no love in marriage, a person is easily tempted to seek emotions from someone else. Some people cheat to find the romance that they do not have in their marriage. This not only destroys families but also causes serious harm to all parties involved. A woman marries because her family arranged it. After a few years, she meets another man who truly moves her. She cheats and ultimately has to divorce, causing pain for both families. Divorce or live a lifetime in suffering. Many couples in loveless marriages eventually end up in divorce. Some others accept to live in pain for their entire lives out of fear of social judgment. A couple has lived together for over 30 years but has never loved each other. When their children grow up, they decide to divorce because they can no longer endure a marriage without love. How to avoid a loveless marriage? Only marry when you truly love. Do not let family or society pressure you into marrying someone you do not love. Listen to your heart. Do not marry just because you have reached the age. Do not believe the thought, you will love after marriage. If you do not have feelings before marriage, it will be hard to develop them afterward. Marriage is only stable when there is a foundation of genuine feelings. If you are not ready, be patient. Do not rush into marriage just because you fear loneliness. Wait for the right person for you. Do not marry someone just because of pressure. Conclusion: do not trade your happiness for a wrong decision. Marrying without love is like locking yourself in a prison. If you are uncertain about marriage, Think carefully, as this is a decision that will affect the rest of your life. 7. Sending money to someone else to buy land without your name. A mistake that can cost you both money and love. In life, everyone hopes to invest in real estate to accumulate wealth. However, many people, trusting friends and relatives, send money to buy land without their name, thinking that a familiar person cannot deceive me. But in reality, this has proven to be one of the most serious financial mistakes, causing many to lose their lifetime savings and even strain relationships with those they know. Let's explore why you should not send money to someone else to buy land without your name and how to protect your assets. Why do many people send money to others to buy land without their name? There are many reasons why people decide to give money to others to buy land without their name. Mainly stemming from trust and simple thinking. Not legally eligible to hold the title. Some people are not old enough, do not have a household registration in that area, or overseas Vietnamese, and cannot directly hold the title, so they have to ask someone else. Wanting to invest secretly, avoid legal risks. Some people want to hide their assets to avoid attention or prevent disputes within the family, so they let someone else hold the title for them. Overly trusting relatives and friends. Thinking that siblings, relatives, or friends will not betray them. The mindset is, familiar people. What is there to worry about? Thinking they can get it back anytime. Believing that they just need to verbally agree, and later the other person will automatically transfer the title back. Not making documents because they believe a promise is enough. It sounds reasonable. But this is exactly the trap that causes many people to lose their assets. Risks when sending money to someone else to buy land without proper title. There are significant risks when sending money to someone else to buy land without proper title. When land prices increase, greed will emerge. Initially, relatives and friends may seem very good-natured and honest, but when land prices increase by 5 to 10 times, greed can completely change them. At this point, they may claim that the land belongs to them and has nothing to do with you. A real example, in 2015, a person sent money to a close friend to buy a plot of land worth $500 million. They did not do any paperwork because they believed that friendship is above all. By 2023, that plot of land had increased in value to $5 billion. When they requested to transfer the title, the friend immediately turned against them, completely denying the original agreement. Without legal evidence, you lose your entire investment. If there is no documentation to prove ownership, legally, the land belongs to the person whose name is on the title. It is very difficult for you to win a dispute because you have no evidence that you are the actual owner. A real example, a person asked their cousin to buy land in their name but did not do any paperwork. After a few years, when they wanted to sell the land, the cousin refused to return it and claimed that the land was purchased with their own money. Because there was no evidence, the person who asked for the purchase lost all the money they had invested. The person whose name is on the title can sell or mortgage the land at will. Since they are the legal owner on paper, they can sell the land without your consent. If they take the land to mortgage at a bank or borrow money, you cannot do anything to stop it. A real example, a person asked their sister to buy land in her name. After 3 years, the sister incurred debts and sold the land to pay them off. When the brother found out, it was too late to reclaim the property. When disputes arise, it is difficult for you to reclaim the land. If the person whose name is on the title passes away or has disputes with their spouse, the land may be divided among others. At this point, you not only lose the land but may also face legal action because you have no proof of ownership. A real example, a person asked their brother to hold the title for land. Unfortunately, the brother passed away, and his wife and children claimed it was family property and refused to return it. The person who asked to buy the land lost everything and could do nothing. How to protect your assets when you must ask someone else to hold the title. If you must ask someone else to hold the title for buying land, ensure the following to avoid losing your assets. 1. The agreement must clearly state who the actual owner is and who is holding the title. Notarize the documents at a law office to give them legal value. 2. Retain transfer documents, messages, and emails confirming that you are the actual buyer of the land. If possible, record conversations to have evidence if necessary. 3. If the land increases in value, there must be a clear agreement on how to handle it. If the person holding the title encounters financial issues, there should be clauses to protect the asset from being mortgaged or sold. 4. If the law allows, co-title the property on the land use rights certificate to ensure your rights are protected. 5. Do not place blind trust in anyone due to emotional ties. Money can change people's hearts, so always be cautious to avoid the worst-case scenarios. Conclusion: do not lose everything just because you trust someone too much. Sending money to someone else to buy land without holding the title can lead to losing both your assets and relationships with your own relatives. In investing, there is no room for naivety. Always be cautious and transparent from the beginning to protect your assets. 8. Living without standpoint, a life led by others. Never successful. In life, everyone hopes to achieve success, have a stable career, and a happy life. But have you ever felt that you're always swept along by the opinions of others? Not knowing how to decide, or always afraid of making mistakes to the point of not daring to make decisions for yourself? If you are always hesitant, lack your own opinion, and are easily influenced by the words of others, then it is very likely that you are living a life without a standpoint. This is the biggest barrier that prevents you from breaking through in life and always being led by others. Let's explore why living without a standpoint is dangerous, its consequences, and how to change to take control of your life. What is a person without a standpoint like? A person living without a standpoint has the following typical signs. Always needs the opinions of others before daring to decide. Before any choice, they have to ask for the opinions of others to feel at ease. Does not dare to trust their own thoughts. Always worrying whether they are doing something wrong or not. Easily influenced by public opinion. They believe whatever anyone says. Lacking the ability to evaluate right and wrong. If they hear someone advise, should do it this way, they agree, but as soon as someone else advises against it, they immediately change their decision. Always afraid of displeasing others. They always try to please everyone, fearing being judged or hated. Do not dare to express their true thoughts for fear of being opposed. Do not have clear goals in life. They do not know what they truly want, only following the majority or the wishes of others. They do not have long-term plans, just living according to what others lead. Easily manipulated and exploited, because they lack their own opinion. They are easily exploited by others for their own purposes. They listen to whatever others say, even being deceived but not realizing it. Do you see yourself in these signs? If so, it's time to change immediately. Consequences of living without a standpoint. Never achieving true success. Successful people all have strong opinions, know what they want, and persistently pursue their goals. If you always change according to the opinions of others, you will never have a clear direction. Real-life example: a young person wants to start a business. But hears one person say business is hard, another say investing is better. In the end, they do nothing at all. Easily exploited and manipulated. A person without a standpoint is often manipulated by others. Used for bad purposes. They can be drawn into scams, financial fraud, or do things contrary to their morals just because they do not know how to say no. Real-life example: a person is persuaded by friends to join a multi-level marketing business. Even though they feel it's wrong, they still follow along because they do not want to upset their friends. The result is losing money, wasting time, and gaining nothing. Always feeling insecure, lacking confidence, because they always depend on the opinions of others. They never truly feel confident. They easily fall into a state of anxiety, fear of making mistakes, and fear of being judged. Real-life example: an employee always follows their boss's ideas without daring to propose their own opinion. When needing to make an independent decision, they are completely confused, not knowing what to do, unable to build sustainable relationships, A person without a standpoint is easily seen through by others because they lack their own opinion. In love, they are easily controlled by the other party, having no right to decide in the relationship. A practical example: a person who loves someone always listens to the other party, not daring to oppose. The result is that they are completely controlled, having no private life. How to train to establish a strong stance. If you want to take control of your life, start cultivating your own opinions and confidence starting today. Clearly define what you want in life. Write down what you truly want to achieve in life. Do not let external words affect your goals. Learn to make decisions without needing to ask for too much advice. When faced with a choice, think carefully and make your own decision. If you need advice, consult, but do not let it completely dictate your thoughts. Learn to say no. Do not agree with everything just because you are afraid of disappointing someone. If you feel it is not right, have the courage to refuse. Do not be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are the best way to learn. A person with a strong stance is not someone who is always right, but someone who knows how to take responsibility for their own decisions. Read books. Learn from people with strong opinions. Learn to think independently. Do not let yourself be swept along by the crowd. Successful people always have the ability to think independently and are determined in their chosen path. Stop comparing yourself to others. Live your own life. Do not try to please everyone. You have the right to make decisions based on your own thoughts and desires, not because someone else tells you to do so. Conclusion: take control of your life. Do not let others decide for you. Your life is determined by you. Do not let anyone else live it for you. Having a strong stance does not mean you are stubborn, but that you know what you want and are not easily swayed. If you are young, start cultivating independent thinking right now. If you have lived without a stance, change so you are not swept along by others' opinions anymore. 9. Living too frugally, saving a lifetime but not knowing how to enjoy. Saving is a good virtue, helping people achieve financial stability and prevent future risks. However, if saving becomes excessive to the point of being miserly, stingy, and not daring to spend money even when necessary, then that is a big mistake. There are many people who spend their whole lives pinching every penny, but in the end, they never enjoy the money they worked hard to earn. They are afraid to spend money, living in a state of anxiety and insecurity about finances, and ultimately miss out on valuable experiences in life. Let's explore why living too frugally is a mistake, its consequences, and how to balance saving and enjoying life. What is a person who lives too frugally like? Living frugally is not just about saving, but also about not daring to spend even when financially capable. These people often show the following signs: always afraid to spend money, always thinking about saving, always choosing the cheapest items, even when the quality is very poor, not daring to shop, always thinking that saving for something more important later, not daring to invest in themselves, not spending money on health, education, or new experiences, thinking that learning and self-development is a waste, always feeling anxious about finances, when even having a lot of money, still feeling inadequate, always thinking about saving more, always living in anxiety, fear about financial future, not daring to help others, even having a lot of money but never helping anyone, even when they truly need it, always thinking that lending means not getting it back, charity is useless, letting money sit idle instead of using it wisely, having money but not investing, not creating value, keeping money in the bank without ever daring to spend. Do you see yourself or someone else in these signs? If so, this is the time for change. The consequences of living too frugally: a lifetime of working but never enjoying, earning money all life but not knowing how to spend. In the end, money is still there but youth has passed. Health is no longer. By the time wanting to enjoy, it is too late to do the things one likes. A man spends his whole life saving every penny, not daring to travel, not daring to shop. When he gets old, his health weakens. Money is still there but he no longer has the strength to enjoy the things he once dreamed of. Causing stress. Pressure for oneself and family. Always worrying about money, creating pressure on oneself and the whole family. Family members feel uncomfortable, hard to bear because they cannot enjoy a comfortable life. A family always lives in excessive frugality, not daring to eat well, not daring to shop. Children feel constrained, unhappy because parents are too stingy. Affecting health. Not daring to spend money on health. Not going for checkups. Not buying good food. By the time serious illness occurs, the treatment costs are much higher than the amount saved. A man always eats frugally, not daring to have regular checkups. When he discovers a serious illness, the doctor says if detected early it could be treated. But now it is too late. Missing many opportunities in life. Not daring to invest in oneself. Not learning new skills. Not daring to experience. Not having beautiful memories in life. A woman has the opportunity to study abroad but refuses because she does not want to spend money. Later regrets missing the chance to change her life. How to balance between saving and enjoying. Saving is good, but one must know how to save wisely and reasonably. Below are ways for you to have solid finances while enjoying life. Understand that money is a tool, not a goal. Money has no value if only kept in the bank without being used wisely. See money as a means to help you live better, not just to hoard forever. Learn to spend smartly. Do not spend extravagantly, but also do not be so stingy that you make yourself miserable. Set aside a portion of money to enjoy life. Travel, eat well, and experience. Invest in health and education. Do not skimp on health. Eat enough, and exercise regularly. Invest in learning, personal development, as knowledge will help you earn more money in the future. Help others when possible. Money is not just for yourself, but can also bring value to others. Helping others is also a way to create goodwill and feel meaningful in life. Set clear financial goals. Saving but still having to have a reasonable spending plan. Do not let money lie idle. Invest to create passive income. Conclusion: saving the right way. Do not turn life into a burden. Living frugally does not make you richer, but only causes you to lose the opportunity to enjoy life. Lose joy and happiness. Saving is necessary, but it must be smart, reasonable, knowing when to invest and enjoy. If you are living too frugally, start changing from today. Let money serve your life. Do not let your life revolve only around money. Life is the result of choices. Each wrong decision can cause you to lose money, opportunities, even happiness. Successful people are not because they are luckier, but because they know how to avoid the mistakes that others often make. Always be alert. Think carefully before making decisions. And do not let blind trust, complacency, or fear hinder you. Money, career, happiness, all are in your hands. Live a life with principles. Knowing how to balance between saving and enjoying. Knowing how to invest in sustainable values. Have you ever made any of these mistakes? Do you want to change today? Comment now to share your thoughts. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope the ideas and knowledge shared have helped expand your perspective and deepen your thinking. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next ones. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video. Wishing you a wonderful day.